Looking back to January 2020 seems like a lifetime ago, and for President Trump, it must feel like it. January saw him sign not one but two trade deals, first with China, then neighbors Canada and Mexico. He green-lighted the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani, faced impeachment charges over his political pressure on Ukraine's president, unveiled a peace plan for the Middle East, went to the World Economic Forum in Davos, and prepared for his re-election campaign, which he was confident of winning. Then came COVID-19.
Because of all we've done, the risk to the American people remains very low.
The Senate, having tried Donald John Trump, President of the United States, upon 2 articles of impeachment exhibited against him by the House of Representatives, and 2/3 of the senators present not having found him guilty of the charges contained therein, it is therefore ordered and adjudged that the said Donald John Trump be, and he is hereby, acquitted of the charges in said articles.
Buoyed by his Senate acquittal in the impeachment trial, Trump waved the threat of COVID-19 away. In February, he even traveled to India, seeing for the first time the real Taj Mahal. In March, as the political season heated up, Trump's rallies were still packed, and as Democrats debated who would be their nominee, Trump repeated his unfounded optimism over COVID-19.
It will go away, just stay calm, it will go away.
Partial travel bans imposed on China and European nations failed to stop the virus, and while Trump ostensibly backed advice to stay at home, he focused mainly on unproven treatments like hydroxychloroquine and getting America back to work.
Our people want to work, they want to go back, they have to go back.
Trump seemed most concerned about the US economy, which fell into a deep recession in March. His main achievement in office, the economy, was on life support. Ever combative as the virus claimed more victims, Trump started blaming political adversaries, Democratic state governors in California, Michigan and New York for the pandemic's spread, and competing with them to obtain scarce medical supplies.
Chinese virus.
Trump pointing the finger overseas too, calling COVID-19 the China virus and criticizing the World Health Organization, eventually announcing a US withdrawal from the organization. But perhaps most damaging for America's health was the president's politicization of mask wearing, which began in April.
I just don't want to wear one myself. I think wearing a face mask as I greet presidents, prime ministers, dictators, kings, queens, I don't know, somehow I don't see it for myself. I just maybe I'll change my mind.
Trump encouraged protests against lockdowns and mask wearing. Militias protested in major cities. The president began leading the daily coronavirus briefing, where he often spread dangerous and untested theories about potential virus cures.
And then I see the disinfectant, where it knocks it out in a minute, 1 minute. And is there a way we can do something like that by injection inside or almost a cleaning?
At the same time, Trump spearheaded Operation Warp Speed, an unprecedented effort to secure a vaccine for COVID-19 in record time. It was perhaps his signature achievement of the year, but was drowned out by controversies. In May and June, the streets of major US cities erupted in protest against the police killing of George Floyd, an unarmed black man asphyxiated by the knee of a police officer in Minneapolis. Trump dismissed the protesters as dangerous radicals, threatening to send in the military. Protesters outside the White House were cleared with chemicals, making room for a photo op with a Bible in front of a damaged church. The message was law and order, and was to be the centerpiece of his re-election campaign. Trump also green-lighted a pressure campaign against China, sanctions over Hong Kong, Xinjiang, closer ties with Taiwan, and the targeting of Chinese tech firms in the US like TikTok, WeChat, and of course Huawei. Restrictions on diplomats and journalists led to the closing of the Chinese consulate in Houston. In August, both political parties effectively cancelled their conventions. President Trump used the White House instead. There were foreign policy successes. The September Abraham Accords provided a path to diplomatic recognition of Israel by the United Arab Emirates and Bahrain. In September, veteran Liberal Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and Trump moved swiftly to nominate a more conservative replacement, a moment to rally his base and celebrate his 3rd nomination to the court. But the celebration of Judge Amy Coney Barrett's nomination at the White House turned into a viral super-spreader event. Several attendees came down with COVID-19. Days later, Trump debated his Democratic rival Joe Biden in a contentious debate that became even more controversial when a few days later Trump was diagnosed with COVID-19 himself. His speedy recovery only cemented his belief that the coronavirus pandemic was manageable. His rallies became more raucous.
The nice part, I went through it. Now they say I'm immune. I feel so powerful. I'll walk into that audience. I'll walk in there. I'll kiss everyone in that audience. I'll kiss the guys and the beautiful women.
The election was hard fought. Trump got more votes than any other Republican candidate in history, but Joe Biden got more. With no evidence, Trump cried fraud.
And we think we will win the election very easily. We think there's going to be a lot of litigation because we have so much evidence, so much proof, and it's going to end up perhaps at the highest court in the land. We'll see. But we think there'll be a lot of litigation because we can't have an election stolen like this.
Trump's team lost court challenge after court challenge, and Joe Biden is the president-elect. But it is still not clear whether Trump will leave office quietly. Trump continues to cause controversy in his final few weeks, inserting himself at the last minute into stimulus negotiations, pardoning political friends and allies, and even hinting about trying to get Congress to overturn the election result when it meets on January the 6th. It may be just a few weeks to go, but it will feel a lot longer than that. Nathan King, CGTN, at the White House.